Okay, hey guys. So I just got back from docs. I went out. I just needed to just relax and get back and refocus. And I want to talk about just my experience considering I am new, and it doesn't mean that I'm naive because I'm very intelligent when it comes to relationships and dating. And I just wanted to talk a little bit about my experience. Okay, so I met someone when I first came out, and I met her on Match.com, and I actually paid for like a 3 month subscription. And I was super excited. Like I paid for the subscription because I saw her profile and I wanted to message her. You know how like some dating sites you can't like message the person unless you have paid for the subscription. So I was like, I will pay for it because I was willing to talk to her. I'm gonna call her Ears because I really liked her ears. Her ears stood out to me. And we began a relationship differently. Like I didn't understand at the time, like, it was my first time ever liking a girl. And I saw her picture and I really liked the fact that her ears stood out. So that's why I'm gonna call her Ears. And Ears was this chick who really was distant. And, I was really real because, like, I had been faking so many relationships with guys because I was trying to be something that I wasn't. And with her, I was like, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to be real. And okay, let me take this damn bra off because it's not working. So I'm gonna go ahead and be real with her because like I really want something that's real. So we went about talking and we started dating. And our first date, I had never dated a woman. And she took me to one of my favorite cuisines, which is Jamaican food, but actually Indian food was actually my favorite first, followed by Japanese, then Jamaican. But she took me to a Jamaican restaurant and I had actually ordered out there several times beforehand, but they had changed locations because I think the car company, whatever, bought them out, so they were able to move. And it was near her place, so she was like, "Well, let me take you out, and we'll get to know each other and whatnot." So we're starting to talk, and I was kind of nervous because like I had never dated a woman, and I had never been on a date with another woman. And while we're talking and getting to know one another, I was kind of stunned because like, when you first meet somebody and you have that strong emotion, sometimes you can lose your words. And I actually lost my words and I lost my confidence because I was so stunned in her presence that I like a lot of things that I really wanted to say to her, I couldn't say to her. So as the relationship progressed, I kind of started to feel that she had that intuition in my gut that she wasn't really being real with me and that she was possibly talking to other people. Now, I told you guys that the book of the month was Sky Southern Comfort. And one of the particular characters is Terry. Terry is this girl who actually is a pharmacist, and she has a really good position in the hospital working as a pharmacist. And she doesn't date women she dates women who are ratchet, who are actually less off than her because she wasn't really ready to settle down. And if you read the book, she actually gets to the point where she meets a woman named Victoria, and Victoria is like a doctor, and she's above her. And mind you, Terry dated only women who were below her, who were considered ratchet. Terry met her karma. Karma was a bitch to her because she ended up meeting a woman who was a doctor and treated her just like she treated the women who she considered lower or below her. Ears was kind of like Terry. And Ears, unfortunately, actually no, because when it comes to credentials, I actually surpass her. But I never considered that because I love the way she spoke to me. She was quite intelligent. And I really love intelligent. I love being able to hold a conversation. If you can hold a conversation with me, you would immediately endear me. Like, conversation is important. And I enjoyed it. Like, we would speak on the phone for 8 hours straight. And I would didn't even notice the time until like I checked my damn phone. Like, oh my God, did we seriously just fall asleep on the phone together? So it was new to me. And I have a friend who's going through a situation with someone, and she is trying to understand what to do because she is my ears to the relationship. And ears wasn't I had a poll out, and the poll, when I will go further in detail, is actually asking whether or not finding out whether or not you are secure, anxious, or avoidant. It was a poll done by John Bowlby, and then it was later considered into a love quiz by Mary Answorth. It's a psychology quiz, and it's basically trying to determine whether or not you are secure, anxious, or avoidant in relationships. And it's based off your experiences. Basically, if you had a childhood where your parents were very very input, very active and very loving and allowed you to grow, then you will be secure. And then if your parents were like kind of iffy and you didn't know where you stood in the relationship, then you were kind of anxious. And then you had avoiding, where your parents are very critical of you and told you what to do and didn't really show emotions. So you learn to be avoidant. So you didn't really take relationships seriously. In fact, you kind of ran away from because you fear that people getting close to you will hurt you. I learned that I am anxious, and I'm not afraid to admit that, because I am anxious. Like, I want to be in love. And I, at the same time, I'm the type of girl where I would tell you everything that you need to know about how I feel. I will communicate that to you because that's how I am. And then the person that I was dating, Ears, was very avoidant. So I got the gut feeling that she wasn't really invested in me. So I actually sent her a text message saying that I can't do this. So we broke up for a minute. And while we had broke up, I started dating again. And I don't date multiple people. I date one person at a time, and then I get to know who they are, and then I get over them. I met a girl who she was, I don't really look at images too much, but I'm not going to lie, but I try to date someone who was physically kept. I hate to say this because I don't like being a big girl, and I'm trying to actually lose weight myself. But it doesn't mean I'm insecure. I know I'm very beautiful. But this girl that I met while dating, she had just recently broke up with a girl that she dated for 11 years. And I was so excited to have this first date. We had talked for about maybe, I want to say, a week or so. And then we had plans to meet. And we finally met. She wanted me to go because she knew I like Asian food. So she was like, well, I want you to go to, I think it was Benihana's. And I had been to Benihana's in Detroit, but I'd never been to Benihana's in Atlanta. So she wanted me to meet her downtown Atlanta. So we ended up meeting up. And when we met, she was kind of cool. I really liked her. But then I noticed that after we had ate, she was trying to take me back to my car by driving me. And she drove really slow. Like the speed limit was like 35. She was doing like 12 miles an hour. And I was watching the pedometer and like, why are you driving so slow? So things didn't add up. Like, I started getting these feelings that something's not quite right about this girl. So like, let me ask some questions. Kind of find out the girl had actually got into a domestic violence dispute with her girlfriend, her ex. So she dated for 11 years. I quickly blocked her once I found that out. And I actually caught Ears because, again, I really loved Ears. And Ears, was telling me that she had just recently gotten into a new relationship. And I was, upset because I really loved her. I felt this connection, even though I was the first one to break it up, because I felt this feeling that she wasn't really being sincere with me. So after a while, I found out that Ears was in a relationship, and I was like, so all this entire time that you were talking to me, you were actually talking to multiple women. which made me feel uncomfortable because like I'm not used to dating. I don't lie. When I date someone, I'm with you. I date that one person, and then once I realize who you are or that it's not going to work out, I quickly let you know. Ears didn't do that. She was dating around, and I guess she had some girl that she was talking to, and now she's in a relationship. So, we stopped talking. And then we hadn't talked for, I want to say, a month and a half. So, I was getting back in my dating scene. So I started going out to Soul Bar, which is now known as Pal's Lounge. I went to Soul Bar and I was having a great time. And then, another stud approached me. And this stud, I thought she was cute. She had dreadlocks, and at the time was nearing Christmas. And this would have been my 4th Christmas by myself. Because, again, you have to realize that my family's in Detroit, but I've moved across country. I lived in Japan. I lived in Tucson, Arizona. So I spent many holidays by myself. And I was, very vulnerable at that time. And I did something that I normally wouldn't do. I take time before I progress into the sexual relationships. And I let those walls get down. Now I'm a lot stronger. But at that time, I was weak, and I actually let the sex progress, and it was not really pleasurable. In fact, I actually haven't really had any sexual gratification from any of the people that I've dated. And that's just for the fact that it's hard for me to, I want to feel a connection. And it's more than just you putting your fingers inside of me or putting your strap inside of me or putting your tongue inside of me, which is why I don't get physical with people or intimate, because it's a mental thing for me. And some people can say, oh, this person didn't have no connection and just have sex with them. And it's not like that for me. So that happened. And then she told me that she had 3 felons. And I was like, I can't do anything with you because 1, you can't get a house by yourself. 2, you can't travel, which is one of the things that I really want to do. And 3, I don't care if you are a probation, you still have felons, which means it's going to make you hard to get up a passport and actually travel the world, which is one thing that I want to do. So this relationship wasn't going to go anywhere. And I hate to say that I was being considered, but it's more like it's not the fact because some fellas end up turning life well and becoming great millionaires and surpassing and whatnot. But I saw this wasn't going to go anywhere because you made a really stupid mistake. And I hope that things work out in your life, but it's not going to work with me. So I kind of just let it go. And then I actually called Ears because I was really upset because I really wanted her to be my first. I hadn't had sex in almost 4 years since that had happened. And I wanted her to be my first. And I felt regret. But then I had to think about it. I'm like, Ears really wasn't there. And she tried to say that, oh, so you had sex with this person. So that must mean that you're, you didn't respect our relationship. But the thing is that you stopped talking, and I had kept emailing you and texting you, and you never responded. So it was on you. So I saw that. So I went to a pageant, and she mistook me going with another girl who I actually just met, because at the time I was losing weight, and I had really got down. I'm trying to get back into it because after this heartache, you tend to gain weight. I'm sorry. It's a different change in your life. But at that time, I had started to lose weight because I was really motivated and I was exercising and I wasn't eating as much as I should. I was actually probably doing less than 1,000 calories a day. So I got I got down. And she saw me and was taken. And then she saw me with this girl who was a lot bigger. Now, this girl, I definitely knew we weren't going to date because, we were two opposites. She was this girl who was looking to mess around, and I was looking to settle down because I don't have the need to have sex with a bunch of people. I'm not looking for fun. I'm looking for something that's serious. I want a family, and that's always going to be my standpoint. I'm not looking for fuckery, and I can quickly identify with it when I see it. So I knew this girl when I wasn't gonna date, go any further. But she mistook us being together as that we were dating. And the thing is, we weren't dating. It was just I just so happened to come there, and she saw me and was like, "Oh, you're by yourself?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm by myself." So we ended up sitting together, and she thought that we were dating, and she came with her mom, and I knew she was her mom because they looked the resemblance was just, it was there. So Ears, kind of got jealous at this pageant and was like, who you're dating. Afterwards, we started talking. So then we started talking again, and I was happy to have her in my life because I really loved her. Like, I love the fact that she inspired me to, like, yeah, I was already changing my life. Like, I came back from abroad teaching English in Japan, moved to Tucson, Arizona, and I was working as a caregiver, things that I had never thought of doing. But she ended up really inspiring me because I love the fact that she was like trying to stay motivated in life and wanted more in her life, because I really want a family. So, I was like, okay, I would want that. I never thought of labels. Like, when I first came out, I never thought of labels. And I didn't know like what a stud was, and a hard stud and a soft stud. I was like, aggressive femme. And I was like, this shit don't make any sense to me. You go for the person that you love who's in your corner. So the label should never really matter. But turns out she was transgender, but she really wasn't transgender. She didn't really want to go forward with that transition. And I was kind of happy because her breasts were really beautiful to me. But Ears, he started talking again and started dating. And it turns out that she, again, was avoidant. And me being anxious, because I'm anxious, and then I really want a family. I want that connection. I want to feel like, you care about me. I want to know that you care. To find out that, I didn't know at the time that now that I'm actually studying the psychology of love and reading about different aspects, I found out that she was avoidant and I am anxious, which is really too hard because, to be honest, is really insecure. But not insecure as in that you're not secure in yourself, but that in a relationship that you don't feel secure with other beings, and you don't know where you stand. And she was more like, I'm avoidant, and that means that, even though you tell me that you love me, which is one of the things I did tell her, that I loved her, she was avoiding because she was like, I've heard so many women tell me this. I heard someone compliment me that I really don't see this. I don't see what you're saying. Like, I would send her text messages that were like poetry, because that's how I am. Like, when I really love someone, I would send you a text message that might be 2 pages long, because I really want to communicate how I feel to you, and I want you to explain it, because I don't think I can just express myself in 3 words. It's going to take a page for me to actually express how I feel. So we progressed and eventually got to the point where Ears was telling me that she wasn't really for a relationship, that she was like, I'm concerned where I'm going to go with my job. They might send me to here, there, and wherever. So I'm not ready for a relationship. I'm like, that's BS, because like, if you heard me, I told you I've been to Tucson, Arizona. I've been to Japan. I've been, across the country. That means I'm willing to move wherever. So like, your job, wherever you go, if it's meant to be, that I will follow. So she kind of started to get, upset because I was pushing for a relationship. I should have realized that was a sign that she wasn't quite ready to settle down, but I still kept pushing. So finding I was willing to give my body to her because I loved her. And that's the thing. Sometimes when you're really in love with somebody, you're willing to do things that you would never really do, because you love that person and you want that person in your life. And I was willing to give my body to her because I loved her. And Ears took it and eventually got to the point where she's told me that, she stopped talking, she stopped texting as often and calling, because I had put that out there. And we had agreed to have this arrangement that we would be together and solely to one another. But then I realized that she wasn't ready, because we ended up having a cards night. And she ended up talking on the phone, like right in front of me. Like normally I would have cussed her out, done all this other things, but I really loved her. Emotions and love will make you do things that sometimes you normally wouldn't do because you love the person. And at that time, I was upset, but I was silent because I loved her. And years got to the point where she actually left my house, and then she texted me like weeks later, like, okay, look, I feel as though you're controlling and you're manipulating and da 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 da. And I said that for a while I thought that I really was controlling and manipulating, but then I had to think about it. You can't be controlling if you put out exactly how you feel, which means I gave you an option. So now I gained my confidence, and now that I'm looking back on it, I realized that she was not ready for a relationship because she was avoidant. She had past relationships that actually hurt her, which she told me about. I'm not going to disclose that, but she told me that she had people who left her because she got in a car accident and didn't see her to the hospital and and whatnot. So she was avoidant. And now that I'm looking at it, I'm dealing with a friend who's dealing with a situation where she's actually in a situation where she wants to move on, but she has someone who really loves her. And the situation is the person that she is living with wants to know whether or not it's a good idea to keep talking. But I'm like, the difference between our situation is the fact that the person I'm in love with actually disconnected our relationship and stopped talking to me. Where she's in a situation where she's actually physical with the person, and they're in the same space. So it makes it hard because the girl wants to move on and she's trying to date another person. The thing is, one of the tactics that we do when we're in love and the person that we want isn't interested in us, we just try to make them jealous. And with this new relationship that she's come upon, she's trying to make her friend, the girl that she's in love with, jealous. And the girl is frustrated because she, of course, has feelings. You're naturally going to have feelings for the person. But unfortunately, you're not really invested in them to have a relationship. So that's the predicament that they're in. And it's hard because it made me think about my situation, because I didn't necessarily try to control. I just told her exactly how I felt. But I could understand that this girl is heartbroken because she wants to move on. But the thing is, you're there, you're constantly with her 24/7, and she's in love with you. And it's hard because she wants to incite feelings for you, and she's going to do anything she can because you're sexing her. You're giving her all of these feelings, all of these, you're dangling that, so to speak, carrot in her face, and she wants to be in love. And hello, listen, Juju, I see that you're watching me. I'm just speaking on just like my experiences, and then other people's experience with relationships, and so to speak. So now I'm single by choice because I'm not ready, and I'm still technically, I'm not in love, but I'm still have feelings. And tonight it made me realize that I want something that's real. Like, I'm not looking for fuck buddies. I'm not looking for sex, because sex is so easy. It is so freaking easy. And bringing it back to the book that the book of the month, which is Southern Comfort by Sky. There's a character in there again named Terry, who was such a player to the point she only dated women who she considered below her because they didn't have that status of being having a degree or having a job that paid them 6 figures or whatnot. So Terry ends up getting what's coming to her because she ends up meeting a woman who's a doctor who was above her because she's a pharmacist. And Terry ends up finding out that the girl is married. And now she starts to realize that, maybe I was looking at it wrong, like, dating women who I consider were below me, because the girl made her feel like how she made those other girls she dated feel. So now she's getting what karma basically came returned to her. And I just thought about that because I'm hearing people talk about, oh, I only date me. I date multiple people. I don't see the point in dating one person at a time. But I'm like, you can't fully invest in a person if you're talking to 7 other people or 5 other people or 2 other people. You just can't really fully invest in them because it's hard. You're weighing options. So that's my problem. I can't do it, and maybe it's because I'm emotional. Maybe it's because it's just the way that I see relationships, but I can't do it. And Terry's a person who's more like, oh, it's sex. She's egging Katrina on to like have sex with her ex and this new girl that she's found. And that's because Terry is so used to having sex as her way of forming a relationship that she doesn't really see that relationship takes more than just sex. And I think that's how we see it. And some people see it in the lesbian community, that we're just looking at sex. But unfortunately, sex is just one teeny aspect of a relationship. You actually need to have something that you can connect with and realize that you can be in each other's corner. That's why I really think that we need to understand where we stand at, like whether we are secure or anxious or avoidant. And you shouldn't be ashamed, because the moment that you know where you stand at, you cannot really recognize those traits, and those never will grow. So you have to grow in life. And that's one of the biggest fears that people have, is accepting their faults and growing from them. And it's hard because it makes you examine yourself. And that's one of the hardest things you could possibly do for yourself, is examine yourself. Needless to say, Ears and I have not talked in months. In fact, I could have texted her on her birthday. I knew when her birthday was, exactly what time that she was born. She told me all this stuff, but I felt as though if you haven't talked to me and I've texted you and I told you everything that I felt, and why should I waste my breath in telling you happy birthday at the exact moment? So I kind of backed off. Now I am single, and I have tried to date other people, but then I realized that it's kind of hard for me because I'm not looking for fuck shit. I'm actually looking for a relationship. So if you come at me a wrong way, talking about, oh, you're very beautiful, oh, you're very intelligent, and da 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 da, telling me all these compliments, and you're not really trying to fight for me, then I don't see the point of me wasting my breath. Because compliments are one thing, but if you really love someone, you're going to show them that you love them. You're going to push for it. You're going to fight for it. You're going to take time to actually captivate it and, get it to the point where it can grow. And if you're not putting forth that effort, then I'm not going to waste my time. Just the way I feel. It's hard because like I'm getting attention, but it's not the right attention. I want something that's real, and real takes time. It's not something that you can just like, oh, I saw you, I met you on whatever website or social media or dating site, and now we're gonna take the time and just go there. It takes a lot of time, and you actually have to know yourself. And I know people are afraid to do that, because knowing their self, it puts you at risk. And it's scary because you're looking at yourself. Again, self-examination, self-correction, self-criticism. It's really hard. We don't want to be told that we're wrong, but unfortunately, in order for you to grow in life, you have to take that criticism and seek that growth. So I've taken my time, and I'm looking at things, and I realize that, I want someone who's in my corner. I know how I want to be loved. I want attention. I'm very needy. Like I need texts. I need cuddles. I need time. I need your attention. Like, I don't need you to be like a second thought. If I become a second thought, then that means I must not really mean anything to you. So my experience with Ears taught me a lot. And now I'm ready to progress and move forward. And I'm actually focusing more on my career. Like, it's been hard because I don't really know what I'm passionate about. And unfortunately, life has taught me that the only thing really that matters is money. Because if you have money, then you have the resources and the finances and the means and the power to get what you want. So I've had many different careers in my life. I've gone from teaching English in Japan to being a caregiver to old folks to now being a customer service representative for pharmacy technician, and now trying to be a customer representative to people who have car accidents. So I'm changing, and that's because I'm just trying to find something to build a life, because I want that. I want a family, and it's gotten to the point where I can't think of having a passion. And people say, oh, your passion should be what you look for. But unfortunately, if you want a big family and you want to progress in life, you got to have the finances. So I'm willing to do whatever it takes besides selling my body, because I love myself more than money. But I'm willing to get whatever degree or whatever experience that needs to happen to get that. And if learning a language is the next thing, I'm gonna do it. I haven't given up the fact that I love Japan. Like, I want to travel again abroad to Japan and Korea and Taiwan and Africa and Italy and Greece and all the places abroad. I'm gonna eventually do it, but for that to happen, I had to put myself in a position to get there. So now I'm actually reevaluating myself again. I'm thinking about going back to school. And what, I don't know, but I'm gonna take my time before I actually start to enroll. And I'm glad, because I just recently got a new position and I don't start until October, but I'm super excited. Much love to Monica, who helped me to get this position. So I'm super excited about that. So again, one thing about before dating, you have to know yourself. And it's good to get yourself in a good position before, as in whether it's your career or finance or whatever. Just get yourself in a good position, because you don't want to depend on anyone. And it's kind of hard to be in a relationship when you got somebody financially depending on you, because you want to be equal. You want, or at least trying to be on the same position where you're both working towards something. It's hard when you got somebody, oh, well, I can't find a job. Not saying that person is a bum or anything, but it's really hard to invest in a relationship when money comes into play, because money will ruin a relationship quicker than anything else. Because if you're both broke and you're both struggling, you're both hungry, it'll ruin a relationship. So it's best to try to focus on getting yourself together, and that's financially and mentally and physically and spiritually. Because once you got that together, you kind of know where you want to stand and who you want to be in your corner. So my first love didn't end the way I wanted it to, but I learned a great deal, and now I'm willing to get to the next step and get to that next stepping stone in life, so that with a new love to come around, it'll be something that, I now know, I'm in the right position. But I also realized that I'm not going to go after someone who's not willing to communicate their feelings, because I'm someone that I would lay out everything how I feel. Like, I would send you 10 pages of why I love you, and can tell you in person when I get the chance. So that's me. I hope you guys enjoyed my spiel. Have a good night. It's my Friday. I'm actually gonna go play The Sims now or watch TV. Speaking of which, I'm watching Disenchanted on Netflix, which is sort of like the cartoon style of Futurama / The Simpsons. I'm a big fan of like animation, so you'll catch me watching this stuff. And anyway, I hope you're reading along with Sky Southern Comfort. Again, I'm using Terry as an example because she was the player in the group of friends, so to speak. Anyway, follow along. This is Lesbians Doing All. Nico Schiavone checking out. I love you guys. Yes.